It's being called the Great Wealth Transfer.
You are living in the greatest transfer of wealth in human history.
Not just little rich, rich, mega money rich.
Up to $124 trillion expected to shift from the hands of baby boomers and older generations down to their younger heirs. But it's not a simple handoff like some might think.
The cold reality? Wealth doesn't transfer. Wealth gets consumed.
For anyone expecting a big windfall?
Unfortunately, I don't feel it's going to be sort of a widespread phenomenon that's going to bring a majority of younger generations into a much more financially secure position.
Chase Horton, a senior analyst in wealth management research, says older generations aren't just leaving cash behind.
The wealth is really everywhere. It's in 401ks, it's in real estate, it's in insurance and annuities.
And people we spoke to saying it's not a check they're banking on.
I don't expect to have my pockets lined by another generation anytime soon.
That money is coming from the already richer Americans, giving it to their next generation richer Americans.
It's the K-shaped economy that financial experts warn about. A majority of that immense wealth is concentrated at the very top of that K, with more than half of the wealth transfer expected to go to the wealthiest 2% of American households, according to recent projections by Chase's team. It's not just the cost of living getting in the way. Any inheritance trickling down to Gen X or millennials could also take a hit due to long-term health care. According to Fidelity, a 65-year-old retiring in 2025 will need more than $170,000 to cover typical health care and medical expenses throughout retirement, as medical care prices have increased about 121% in the last 2 decades.
Boomers are going into retirement with longer lives. A lot of millennials should actually sock away money to pay for their parents' long-term care insurance.
And then there's one of the only things certain in life: taxes. Estate taxes, capital gains taxes, and other legal fees can significantly chip away at inheritance. According to a 2025 Northwestern Mutual study, less than a third of boomers and older expect to leave any inheritance at all. 39% don't even have a will.
I would tell a middle-class person to expect a debt transfer, not a wealth transfer.
So while the wealthiest of older generations might know how to move their money into stocks, bonds, real estate, or cash, the Great Wealth Transfer could serve as a lesson in financial literacy, meaning younger generations should count on other ways to cash in.
Let me bring in Brian now. What's so interesting here, there's been a lot of talk, I feel like lately, on just this idea of younger generations, older generations. Should older generations be, quote unquote, giving while living, et cetera? What do experts you talk to say?
Yeah, well, it's really about having that conversation. You mentioned giving while living, and certainly to the point of what we just reported, not everyone is in a position to pass down a substantial amount of inheritance to their kids. But if there is a good financial cushion and it's not going to be used in retirement, giving while living is going to allow the younger generations to benefit, at least in the present, from some of that. And real estate is another big story as well. And that's what makes that stat. 39% of boomers and older not even having a will. It's real estate that has vastly appreciated in value. That is something that needs to be communicated between the younger generations and the older generations to avoid any sort of dispute, because as we know, Hallie, home prices are up substantially. But again, this might be a thing that only benefits the highest and the wealthiest. Right. As far as everyone else, it's debt. That really is a big question there.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.